It is content, and if my is right, it was also a patented mess up at the beginning. I don't think I've had one intro that I haven't screwed up somehow. And I'm pretty sure people saw a little bit of that and then it started over. But anyways, welcome. It's Saturday night. Content a little earlier than normal, but we got people over on the east side of the country who don't want to stay up as late as what 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, however long this might go. But one of those people is Dan from F.A.O Universe, who's joining us tonight, and we're just gonna be talking about whatever pops into our head. I got a couple things I wanted to ask him about. One of them being sometimes co-host Nick, and Nick Patch from oh shoot, my mind just gone blank. That's one of my other patented things, is my mind going blank. Nick Patch, Strange Pages, that's right. Yeah. Who's got his book Right Back With and the Cursed Continent. If you haven't seen that, go find it and get it. I don't know if you can still get it on his crowdfunder yet, but I'm sure he'll have a second volume coming out soon. But you guys talking about demons and such every once in a while, and I'm like, if I can get in there to comment, I'm like, I want to get in there and talk about demons.
I want some demon love.
But in particular, I have a partner that's in the past few years has really been getting into the Nephilim and all that sort of stuff, and we have some pretty heavy conversations at work. So
that's what work is for, right?
Oh, exactly. I'm in construction, so we can work and talk to each other quite loudly and not have to worry about offending other people. So.
I commend you. I did construction for a very short time, and that's what made me go back to college. It's like some men are built to lift shingle boxes up and down a ladder all day in the heat. Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm too Irish for that, man.
I got just enough Mexican that I think I could do that, but I don't. I'm mostly indoors, so that's
good. I knew way too many like 28-year-olds with bad knees. Like, yeah, I'm not doing this, man.
Yeah. I know plenty of. So I'm 48, and nice. Then I got a younger brother, and my partner's a few years younger than me, and I don't know why I was blessed with a body that doesn't feel aches and pains all that much, but they're both complaining about their back, their legs, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm fine. I guess I must be the guy who's built for this sort of stuff. Like, I'll just keep going.
Built different.
Yeah. Before we just kind of start getting off into the weeds about whatever we want to talk about tonight, let's jump right into your website and talk about F.A.O Universe for a minute. Let me do a little. Where's my button? Hold on, my button's not working.
It's like Willy Wonka, where he's like, button, who's got the button?
Share screen. That one. Share it. Got it. Is it working?
There we go. Yeah,
there we go. I just noticed I still have my at the movies little graphic in the corner. That was last week. We were talking with. Hold on, let me change that. There we go. We were talking with Stephen Barone,
nice.
Whose comic, The Filthy, Dirty, and the Dead, came out recently about a movie called Walkabout, Australian movie, which was entertaining, beautifully shot, just a gorgeous movie. But there were scenes like the kid they hired, the Aborigine kid they hired, was a real Aborigine, like from a tribe, and they showed him like killing and gutting like kangaroos
All right.
and other animals. Like it was crazy. Yeah. But anyways, um, your universe that you've created is God universe, which what's it spans hundreds of years of your story here, right?
Thousands. Yep.
Thousands. Wow. Okay. And give us like the basic. Should we watch this first, just because?
Yeah, go for it. That's our
If it
current,
works.
or not current, it's over, but people can still back it if they want. That's our latest campaign.
Let's see what happens here. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it was cutting off so much of the thing, but whatever. So yeah, give us a brief rundown of what is the Godful universe? And
Sure. The Godfo universe is basically a multimedia art business. We make comics, novels, video games, short films, and more. And the universe itself is this idea of around the same time as we are now in the real world, some powerful elites have acquired an alien metal that they call Impera metal, and they're using it to build their own god machine to take over the world. That's the start of the universe. As it goes on, you see how some of that happens and some of it doesn't. There's an interesting story there. But
Mhm.
anything throughout as time goes on, multi millennia, there is a being called God that emerges, and anyone who opposes it is labeled God foe. So that's the premise of the universe. What we do is we create little eras, is what we call them. It's kind of like how Star Wars did, like the High Republic, Old Republic, that kind of stuff, where you can jump
Yeah.
in at these different places and you can get stories, but there is an overarching story as well.
Mhm.
So it's huge. It's this idea that we've created this giant sandbox and that we can create smaller sandboxes within it. And Josh and I are the owners. I'm the writer, he's the artist, and we do the comics and all that kind of stuff. But we also have some contributing artists as well. We have a guy named Brody Addison that he wrote a short story for us. He's writing a comic for us in this universe. Just he was a fan and wanted to do it. We got a guy that's a photographer and cinematographer named Colin, who his art is in some of these peripheral works right here you're looking at, and he does the short films. So it's just this big, massive endeavor that we're just dedicating the rest of our lives to.
Nice.
And comics are a part of it, but we're focusing on a lot more than comics, especially this year. We're releasing a novel. The video game should be done this year. We're trying some other little surprises as well, but I mean, it's just basically two guys, and we're putting our hearts on our sleeves and going full force within this thing. We like exploring grander narratives. Like we were both big fans of Dune before the Dune movie came out and kind of ruined it. we're both big fans of stuff like Evangelion and stuff like that. We really like high concept, big things that are more than just like fantasy, sci-fi. I mean, this world that we deal with in the Godfall universe, technology becomes so immersed with mankind and the world, and there's so many resets, so many apocalypses that it becomes basically magic, and it becomes more
Yeah.
than magic. It becomes religion. And with that, you can create your own religions, you can create your own philosophy, you can create your own everything in these worlds. And to us, it was just really inspiring to just be able to we can do whatever we want, untethered from our own world. And I don't know, that the big driving force was for us is we're kind of sick of seeing art that's just a mirror of our world.
Yeah.
Like, and that, I know that's a long explanation, but it's a big concept. We don't have an elevator pitch because we found that stuff kind of lame. It's like, okay, you can sell McDonald's or you can make steak, and we'd rather make steak.
You step into the elevator and have to push the emergency
Stop.
stop
Yeah.
button.
Well, I mean,
We
elevator
got
pitches they exist for a reason, but I mean, I think people are getting tired of that stuff. The internet has broken free of cheap ad quick crap. People can
mhm.
find the most niche thing now. I mean, you'll find someone that's like a My Little Pony fanatic and he's 45. Like, I'm not endorsing that. It's just the internet was supposed to be for those like yourself and myself and Josh that were old enough to remember a world before it. It used to connect you with people who shared these big interests.
Mhm.
And the more commodified it's come between like basically 4 different companies on the internet now, and there's only like 4 websites now, basically.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's gotten smaller.
Yeah. Which is an interesting thing because, well, before we get to that, there's actually people in the chat, which
Hey, what's up?
we got Dr. Mask Retro Elixir. We got, he's saying, hey everyone. Matt Ruth was in earlier and he was first. I don't know why it's not here and I can't click on that comment. Cole King also
Hey,
saying, hey.
Cole's great.
But it is interesting that there was a time, yeah, you could find your message boards or whatever and have your little group, but somehow now, like you said, that everything's run by a few major corporations.
Mm-hmm.
We're even more fractured into smaller and smaller and smaller groups, and getting to the point where this is just a jump off topic almost completely because I know AI is a big part of the story here in
Yeah.
Godfo, but I was who was I talking to one time, and we were talking about AI music, and I screw around with it here and there. Sometimes I make little countdown songs, just goofy countdown songs for the stream or whatever. But he said something to the effect of AI songs are basically going to appeal to one person, the person who made them. No one else cares about your little story that you think is so awesome. It's going to take a real like lyricist, someone whose lyrics really, and if they choose to write the lyrics, which they don't even have to break out of something like that.
Yeah, and they will. Someone will. Some 20-year-old on YouTube will make $1 billion song with AI.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's inevitable.
Why can't he be a 48-year-old?
Yeah, right. Because it's always a 20-year-old that will somehow look way better and way worse than we do. Like,
yeah.
At the same time. He'll be in shape, but he'll have the most god awful tattoos as well.
So speaking of AI being part of the storyline you have, how much I was going through this first one, Apollyon 20XX. No, is volume 1?
Yeah.
Live Not by Lies. Is that what it is? Yep. I was because I have the digital of that. I was going through that earlier, and I'm seeing a lot of parallels to things that are coming into play. How long have you been working, and how much has it changed as those things have progressed and gotten more prominent and more advanced in the past years?
The universe itself we've been working on for probably close to 15 years now. And it started out in a different era, basically almost at the end, and we were writing that, which is what became the first novel, not the first graphic novel, but the first novel that'll be released this year. Apollyon, I think I wrote that story, that volume 1, maybe a year before it came out. I think it came out 2 or 3 years ago. So let's say, was it 2026 now? Maybe 2022, 2023. And this isn't a toot horn thing. It's just, I mean, you live long enough to, like, things repeat in history and patterns emerge. And some truths are unchanging. So when you see something like AI, it really isn't anything new. And when you see a lot of the political things that are happening, they're not really anything new. I mean, you were there for Desert Storm. Like I was there for Desert Storm. Like we're back in Desert Storm, right? Like it's like the Dr. Manhattan meme from Watchmen where he's like, it's 1992 and X is happening. It's 2022 and X is happening.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with Live Not by Lies was the biggest influence on it was probably Solzhenitsyn, and that's where that title came from. Is his essay Live Not by Lies and his Gulag Archipelago, and the rise of the term ideology didn't really become a popular term until I think Jordan Peterson probably popularized it 6 years ago now or something. That kind of injected it into the public consciousness. But I come from a religious family, and ideologies are religions. And again, what I'm appealing to is that same thing: is that truths are unchanging, whatever anyone believes of religion or not. We agree. You have a scientific foundation, even materialistically, because truths don't change. So when you start working on something like this and like that, you do go back and forth. This is to circle back to your question. You might think, like, you might have a fear in your gut of like, oh, what if it's relevant now, but it's not relevant later? And you kind of push that aside and you go, well, let's go to the truths that are happening, even if they're in modern writing. Timeless things last. And I think that's the difference between timeliness and timelessness. Timeliness is Taylor Swift. It's timely. It comes out now. It's good for the time. Timelessness is like Bob Dylan. Man can't sing, but his songs are timeless. So, yeah, a lot influenced it because, I mean, whatever. Everything's tied together now. Religion, politics, and art in the world are all tied together now. You can't escape it. So I will say this: the rise of the radical left and the radical right online, particularly in 2016, did play a big part on this book. But you don't react to that. You look at it, and again, you chase the truths of the foundations of those things, and then base rate on that. So that's what happened, basically. We already had a lot of these ideas, but when that happened and that spiked, that did influence it to a degree that you see how it is coming back in waves. Then you trace those waves back throughout history. And that's the recurring theme in Apollyon that we harp on, is that this pattern is in human history of man trying to be God, all the way back to the God kings like Pharaoh and all these kind of things. There's always the meeting of heaven and earth, no matter what you believe, but it usually comes in the form of a man on top of everyone else trying to rule. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I mean, the Christian tradition, the Christian kings tried to embody that in a positive sense of like, okay, well, we have an example of how to do that isn't tyranny. Nobody's perfect, but that idea persists. And that's the apocalyptic idea that everyone talks about, everyone knows about. This. The apocalyptic idea is no longer a Christian idea. After World War II, it's a worldwide view now. It's the one reason we can't have any kind of positive political force is because everyone's afraid of the next Hitler. And before Hitler, it was everybody was afraid of the next Napoleon. And before Napoleon, it was everybody's afraid of so-and-so and so-and-so and basically Caesar. And I mean, they were afraid that some of the colonies were afraid that George Washington was going to declare himself king and be the next King George. And there's just something about that idea. I mean, I'm not trying to like dox you or put you on the spot, but are you a father perchance?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay, I am as well. And as a father, we know some kind of idea of power and some kind of idea of force and some kind of idea of duty and honor that is good and positive that can be scaled up. So I say all that to say, particularly for Apollyon, that's a lot of the bigger ideas that are being questioned and answered. Is it starts out kind of like an X-Men meets Akira thing in volume 1, and by volume 5, which will be the last volume, it's very much a in-depth study of the nature of power and the negative and positive effects of that.
Nice.
Long answer, I know.
No worries. That's kind of the stuff that I'm going to comment. But this it is almost prophetic as we are seeing it manifest today. Great cloudy
Thanks,
day.
Greg.
Thanks for showing up. Great cloudy day. But I was I was going to earlier today. I don't know if it would have kicked a hornet's nest, but I was going to make a joke post about the stream, say something to the effect of, join me and Godfo as we're talking about the Ripaverse for the next 3 hours, whatever.
Go for it, man.
But kind of in the sense of like, joking that why are we spending time? But but I started to think about this corner of the indie scene that I think we find ourselves in. I really enjoy the fact that there are talks about, philosophies, ideologies, and it's not just drama. It's not just, it's not about just trying to get views or whatever it is, or super chats. I think on some level, there's a deeper, striving. We're striving there. This corner is striving for something deeper through comics and art. That whether it ever comes to fruition to anything, that's not really our call. It's just our call to make and support big ideas in art.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when you go on a tangent, that's not a problem for me at all. That's the stuff that I enjoy.
Good. That's what I'm hoping. That's why with everything I put out, while Josh is drawing, because that's the harder thing in comics, I'm writing more prose, and that's why whenever we do a book, I always release 2 to 3 to 4 prose works that go along with it. Usually put them up to free to read later. It's just there's things that can be done. Like there's just a cool world out there, and like I straddle this line. There's some interest, and I hate using these terms, but on the most, and I'm gonna get probably flagged or clipped for this, but who cares? Depending on how things go in the next 2 weeks, yes or not. But I've read a lot, not a lot, or not all. No one can read a lot, but no one knows, and no one is fully aware. But we know the ideas of like the left. We know Marxism. We know these kind of ideas that have been popular for so long. Deconstruction, postmodernism, and relativism, subjectivism. There are some interesting ideas on the right now that are coming out, but they have their bottoms too that are worthless. All that to say, what I'm saying is, none of them are artists like on either side anymore. It's like you read these guys that are sometimes called theory cells or word cells, like like incel, and they can write articles. If you're on X, you'll see some articles written. What you won't see is a meeting of story and that kind of idea, like that kind of philosophy anymore, except maybe in anime. And I think that's why kids love anime and love manga beyond just the shonen, because I mean, you pick up Death Note. Death Note is a Shakespearean tragedy. And even if you don't know that, if you're a 13-year-old reading it and you don't know Shakespeare, if you did see it, you would see the parallels. And there's questions of right and wrong and morality in those things, and like those things that just aren't in the political writings, the articles, the commentary. Everything's commentary. The past 8 years on YouTube has been Friday Night Tights commentary. And quite frankly, this isn't me starting drama. They can't create. Like, talk about Rippaverse. The dude can't write. And I don't mean it mean. It's just, we saw it. We read Isom.
Yeah.
It sucked. It would be different if the dude was a good writer. But all that to say, I'm afraid mainstream comics became that, and I'm afraid indie comics became that too. It's what you just said, clicks and views.
Yeah.
It's not, because Tolkien doesn't get clicks and views. What gets clicks and views on Tolkien? People commenting on Tolkien.
Yeah.
And that's such an absurd thing. It's like you guys would not have a career if it weren't for the greater foundation of art that you pick from, like vultures. So that's my rant.
And it's also lost on a lot of people that a good story um, reaches the soul with truths way easier than a 3 hour stream or a rant in an article, where your use of language is just as plain and normal as every you can get at the mall, in the Starbucks counter. There's yeah, like having read C.S. Lewis, and then that leads you into Mere Christianity or whatever, and seeing those steps towards bigger thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not bigger thoughts; they're just more expounded upon in fuller ways than in the stories themselves. I just listened to what was the story? Is it G.K. Chesterton, The Man Who
Yeah.
Was Thursday?
Yeah. That sounds right.
I'm gonna have to listen to it again because I
Yeah.
don't know what he was talking about. I mean, I get some of it, but yeah, but nonetheless, it's one of those things where you walk away and you're like, I need to dig deeper, and
Yeah.
you don't get
Well,
that.
it's like meme. I'm retarded. Like, oh, yeah, you name dropped Mere Christianity. I mean, you read that and you're like, am I even a Christian? I don't understand any of this. Like, I'm an idiot. Like, but no, like my buddy Brody, who's like the contributing writer, who's putting out a comic, by the way, that we'll promote. It's kind of like old school Robert Crumb style, which is really cool. But we talk a lot, and I mean, if you have, like, let's say, like, biggest philosopher of the 20th century or so, like Nietzsche, right?
Mhm.
Nietzsche spent so much time writing books and like finally did what Thus Spoke Zarathustra, which
Yeah.
was a narrative about the guy coming down from the mountain. And just like Nietzsche and every like sensitive young man now, no one understands him and he's right and everybody else is wrong and he leaves and society's wrong. But he finally got around to a parable. And
Yeah.
it's like, hey, man, maybe the ancient world and its philosophers were smarter when they could tell you huge truths in a simple parable.
Yeah.
And it's that idea of what you were saying, like, story can wrap like a billion gold nuggets in one thing.
Mhm.
And it can critique those ideas to prove them because it can, like Dostoevsky, he can put almost all of his work is ideas in the mouths of people,
Yeah.
and they talk and work those things out. But I mean, like, go back to Tolkien because Tolkien is so relevant right now because England's being invaded. Sorry, but it's like, um, if you want to argue who is a better person in every sense of the word, you've got Nietzsche's idea of the Ubermensch, which no one can agree on,
Yeah.
versus Sam Gamgee. And Sam Gamgee will stand up, face down demonic spiders, carry his friend over the volcano when they have no energy left, and he just wants to garden, like, he just wants to grill.
Yeah.
Which one of these men do you think had a better philosophy of life? You know?
Yeah. We got a comment. Great cloudy sky. Recently read Kolga. Dan, you're a good writer. You do a lot of research, and it makes everything better than a lot of comics.
Thank you, Greg.
And he also says he plans on reading Apollyon 20XX1 and 2 again.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I was looking through your website earlier today, and the noticing how much stuff you have, and some, how much prose and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of gotta start digging in, especially since some of it's free. I might as well, might as well dig into it while it's there. But also noticing the art with the colors and stuff, because the other one was black and white.
Mhm.
But yeah, look, it looks good. I need to get more. You can get them from the website, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
They're not as cheap as they are on the campaigns. We try to do, like, when we do the campaigns, we try to do a special deal for people who back it. So I think there's like maybe a $5 difference between the campaigns and the site.
Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting. Interesting So okay, let's just jump into this real quick, just because um, I, with campaigns,
Mhm.
crowdfunding campaigns, I was always under the assumption that the okay, so like you watch Shark Tank, right? And
Yeah.
they're like, hey, we want you to put this much money in for whatever, and then that allows them to then produce their product and sell it at a cheaper price because they've already got the backing,
Yeah.
right? And I assume that's how it worked with crowdfunding, but everyone has a different way of thinking about it. I always assumed, oh, I pay $25 for your comic
Hmm.
so that you can produce some and sell it for $6, $5 to Joe Schmo down the street.
Oh yeah.
And it, but with yours being the opposite, how does that play out? Like is that are you do you have hopes to get it to a place where you can just like pump them out, and sell them for cheaper to the I guess uninitiated,
Oh yeah.
the dirty masses?
Absolutely. The re the simple answer to that is that we just take a massive cut on profits for the campaigns.
Hmm.
Like we just deliberately keep the price low for the campaign so people can get it, they can back it than we would if we were selling it normally. And also, we just feel like if you're contributing to get it made, you should get a cut. You should get a cheaper price.
Hmm.
Like you are here on the ground floor because the book's already made. We make our
Yeah.
books before we do it. It's just this is helping us print it.
Okay.
So, but Josh and I are the only ones that do it. We own half of the business each. I don't have to pay anybody. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to pay anybody. So that's how we can keep our prices lower and keep them lower for the campaign.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, as a backer or whatever, like, yeah, I have no problem with spending less money.
Yeah.
But it is a question because at some point I want to make a book. I'm trying to write stuff, but
Nice.
I'm not doing so well. But I do ask questions of guests, like just to kind of help me get an idea for when if I get to the point, I'll have a little bit of a base knowledge to work off of.
Well, it's
So,
basic math, but I don't know. I have no problem doing controversial opinions. So, to take what you said and to not start a drama fight, Josh and I didn't think it was fair for the first backers to pay so much so that other people later could get it cheaper.
hmm.
That just didn't seem right to us. It
Yeah,
seemed
yeah,
right that the people who are there first, backing us, supporting us, get the better deal.
okay, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that makes sense. I like the concept. I
Yeah.
get the thinking behind it. Um,
But we're also unique though. Like I said, we don't have to pay anyone. We have no other
yeah.
costs. So I understand a writer's got to pay like an artist or two.
Mhm.
Completely different setup.
Yeah. So, okay, that's just something to keep under my coat for if I ever get to the point where I'm making progress, which is tough because I fall asleep anytime I start to read or write anything. So,
I understand. I had to do a
um,
lot. I have to do a lot of writing like as soon as the kids go down
mhm,
before I fall asleep. And like, I'm with you, especially on the reading. I haven't been able to read anything really, maybe a year. Like
yeah.
because yeah, again, if I go anything but standing up vertically, I'm going to fall asleep. Like
Hmm. My wife wonders why I do so much like pacing and stuff. It's because if I stop,
yeah, I'm done.
yeah. I have to choose my time wisely because it's not starting back up. um, Speaking of reading things, I know you said you haven't really read anything recently, but comics and stuff. What do those play in your life, and why do you choose comics as one of your outlets?
Um, I think comics are an interesting medium. I'm not. I have a weird relationship with art, and this is very strange. Like my first foundation is music. That's what I
Hmm.
went to school for. That's what I knew before anything else. And that's actually what Josh was as well. Josh was he was always been a good artist, but he was focused on music as well, and that's how we met. And that still probably is the top priority, music in my or art in my life. Like the thing that influences me most is music.
Hmm.
Comics I grew up with, and I was kind of at the same age where Japanimation and manga, when when those things were still scanned online for free, like in like
Yeah, when they were still called
1995.
when they
Yeah,
were still
yeah,
called Japanimation.
yeah, and I didn't really, and like kind of like the generation that came up didn't see much of a difference. Like Akira came out and it was sold as a comic, and people
Hmm.
were like, "Oh, it's a comic from Japan." Nobody, you get beat up if you use the term manga. Nobody knew what that meant,
Yeah.
and I've always liked the medium. I came out, when Image was happening, so you got crap stories but good art. But I still
Hmm.
bought Spawn because it looks nice. But I don't know. I've always kind of preferred novels over comics, but comics have a weird medium,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what fascinates me about them. Is not that I'm not at the store every week picking up the new stuff,
Yeah.
but when a comic is good, it's unbelievably good.
Hmm.
And a comic's good when people who don't read comics read that comic.
Yeah.
And that's there's this weird thing, man. To me, it's kind of like music where the best bands and the best performers are people who, like Michael Jackson, right?
Hmm.
Metalheads love Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Prince, when he did like Purple Rain at the Super Bowl, guys who listen to like black metal or like weeping. Like
Yeah.
when something is so good, it crosses boundaries. And everybody knows like the staples like Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns,
Hmm.
maybe even Batman Year One, things like that. But those things exist for a reason. And they stand for that for a reason. And my belief with comics is that I don't think maybe they're the greatest ever, but Moore and Miller should not have been the exception after they came. They should have been the standard.
Yeah.
And they kind of said that Miller more than Moore did. And for some reason, because it's the comic industry, they didn't make them the exception. They didn't follow that exception or example. I'm sorry. They went back to business as usual, went through a bubble, basically died.
Hmm.
And we are where we are today. I don't think the comic versus manga debate matters. They're two different things. Right now, manga sells to kids. Great,
Yeah.
whatever. If somebody drops something like The Dark Knight Returns tomorrow, it's going to outsell most of the manga because people that aren't 12 are going to be buying it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think. Just to answer your question, I don't think this is just so strange. Comics have been around for 150 years actually, if we're counting stuff like Little Nemo,
Yeah.
um, and political cartoons. I still don't think they've been super tapped into to the point where they've been mastered, and that gives me hope. It's this idea of there's still so much to come from. Like I'm a huge Cerebus fan, up at least until like the 100th issue or so, or
Hmm.
200th issue. Um, and he was already breaking rules with comics. He was
Yeah.
getting like he was doing half prose, half comics, and it's a pain to read, but it's fun and it's cool and I love it. Um, Kabuki kind of broke a lot of stuff with whenever that book came out. There are these things that I know I'm floundering, but
No, no.
it's kind of
I,
like
I,
punk versus classical, where you'll have these guys, and this is my music nerd, like Mozart versus Beethoven.
mhm.
Mozart was the epitome of classical, as we call classical. Beethoven basically started and was the pinnacle of romantic, and they were close together. But if you were there at the time, it was almost two camps
Yeah.
because Mozart had mastered. He brought in flowings of notes that no and variations and themes that no one would have thought of. Beethoven came in and brought in like emotional themes that no one would have thought of, and like there's a 99% chance you can hum Beethoven's themes way more than you can Mozart's. So you had these two masters who just went dialectically opposite, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what I think with comics happened, unfortunately, is you have this massive kind of split of like the technical masters with image that could draw, and you had guys like Moore and Miller who were masters of writing. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'd get a match, and that's what's ideal. But even within that match of a master writer and master artist, sometimes they're the same person, like Miller to a degree. Even that has subsets. I hate seeing it like a like a skill tree because I'm not like a big video game guy. But the big picture to me is that it seems like there's a vastness of comics that has yet to be explored, and makes me excited because, I mean, darkness is exciting. I mean, that's if you, that Faustian spirit of the Western man is to, and the frontiersman is to go into the darkness, take a torch, build a damn road, and show people that you can go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, the thing you said about comics being a strange thing, I'm wondering if it's because in the same way film can manipulate your emotions with the soundtrack as well as the way the movie's shot. You can cry at something because it's shot well and the music hits at the right time. But if it's not shot well and the music's there, you might not get the same. But comics touch on both those places of our heart of the emotional, we get to see these pictures, we get to see these images, and they're always paused as opposed to a movie. They're always paused at the coolest or the most dramatic moment. But also the literacy, the literature part of it that touches the other side of the brain, where it's feeding us not just emotionally, but what's the word I'm looking for? It's not scholarly. The other side of our emotions and intellectually, and that's why maybe why certain people like comics so much, and those certain people are those people who sit in that area in their life. I find that there's a lot of people who really like comics who live kind of in that area of they have the emotional thing and they have the intellectual thing in a very I'm going to say a kind of healthy balance, where and you could see it move out of balance when you get to the people who are like, I only like the pictures, or and you see how it's like going back to movies. There are popcorn, your Transformers movies, and the people who like that just want to see the cool explosions. And then there's others who want to, we want a little bit something to it. I want to feel like something happened here, something meaningful has happened. And when a comic can do that, it's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
I think so. I mean, and as a writer, I'm gonna get on my high horse, but I think the literary part has been lacking for I don't know 3-4 decades.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say at least partially before Image. And I give them a hard time just because they were just so bad at writing. Like they were just, but I mean that wasn't their that wasn't their thing, and that's fine. It's just that disconnect to me still is there because I'm not a fan of Kirkman, but The Walking Dead, I don't think it had the best art. I don't think Invincible has the best art. So it's like, okay, now we've got at least a story selling a comic, but the art is still kind of lackluster, at least to me, at least to my snobbish view. And I know people like different things, understandable, but I think people don't read. and that kind of hurts me because if you can't read, you can't really think. Um, or if you can write well, you can think well, even if
Mhm.
you can't speak well. There's just something about that, and like you were talking about, if you read like a Chesterton book or a Chesterton paragraph, even or a Lewis one, you get a sense that like these guys that were juggernauts of the written word were incarnating ideas that were 50 times bigger than even that.
Yeah.
And then you're filtering it and you're getting like this much because, but then you realize like, oh my gosh, what if they didn't have ideas that were 50 times bigger?
Yeah.
Well, then their stuff would be even smaller. And then I would get even less from it. So when you don't have that kind of inspiration to work from, you don't have Jack Kirby's, he had like Jewish mythology basically. He had
Mhm.
5,000 years of it on his side. If you don't have that, you don't get New Gods.
Yeah.
If you don't have Morrison's Magic with a K, you don't get his works, and Moore's other Magic with a K. They hate each other. You
Yeah.
don't get his work. And if you don't have Miller's like basically almost pop obsession with culture, like
Yeah.
true culture of that dude knew pulp like nobody's business.
Mhm.
That dude knew Americana stories like nobody's business. If you don't have that massive stockpile, what they in the Rush document, I don't know if you're a fan of Rush. I love the band Rush. They used to like rocket
Right.
sauce. Like if you don't have rocket sauce, you don't blast off.
Here's an interesting little fact. So I've been listening to full albums each day uh, while I'm at work, trying
Nice.
to break out of TikTok think. Short, just quick. This past week, was it this week? Maybe, yeah, I think it was this week. Maybe last week. I didn't get to too many this week because of work was kind of weird. But Rush album was the very first time I've ever listened to a full Rush album was this week. So,
Was it Moving Pictures?
but yeah, the one with the
Tom
Major
Sawyer?
Tom Sawyer. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty solid, not bad. Like,
It was okay.
I mean, here we got Mad Ruth says, "Image gave me hope that even I could become a writer."
You can.
He says, that makes sense. Like, you could see you could do better. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it crushed my dreams of ever being an artist.
yeah.
Whenever Spawn 1 came out, I mean, I was trying as a kid, like trying to figure out how to draw. I was like, it's done. Like I'm never gonna be able to do that.
See, I'm of the opposite camp, where I I fell in love with comics because of Jim Lee's X-Men #1. The
Yeah,
Gatefold issue was I had loved or rather I had enjoyed comics beforehand, comic books. I was more of a comic strip guy.
yeah,
Like Peanuts has been my thing for my entire life. Like, speaking of being able to give great big grandiose thoughts in
yeah.
very small packages, very small, sometimes just two panels, and you're like, wow, that's
Or
deep,
or
that hits hard.
if it's Far Side, it's one panel and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like,
And I wonder if Charles Schultz's kind of simple way of drawing characters kind of influenced the way I looked at comics, where I moved pretty quickly out of the superhero scene and that kind of over rendered art.
yeah,
And I got into, one of my favorite artists, particularly back then when I was really digging into him, was like Seth
okay,
and Chester Brown. Just like the simplest, art. But it for me, it really hit on an emotional level the what they could pull off with their very simple drawings.
oh
But
yeah,
and so yeah, I wasn't, I still am not like I know I'm gonna say something that people are gonna just boggle their mind. I'm not a big McFarlane fan. I don't like Sam Keith stuff. I understand
Yeah.
and I get the skill and the craftsmanship behind what they do, but like Sam Keith stuff to me is ugly. It's ugly stuff. But
What I'll push back with Sam Keith, like I love Sam Keith, but like he's the only one that made Cyber look cool. Like that Wolverine villain that he made.
oh yeah,
That's like metal skin. Like everyone else that drew Cyber sucked. Like
but yeah, that's my little thing that
Oh, yeah.
I haven't said that very much on X because
You should. Do
We'll
it for
see.
the clicks, bro. Like,
Yeah, do it for the clicks.
what's the worst that'll happen? So, like, you've got a sock account, maybe call you like, you know, a word I can't say on YouTube without demonetizing you.
I don't know. I might blow up like last time Nick said something
Nick.
about writing.
Oh my gosh, that got to the pros, and it's like, my goodness, who cares? Like, if these like 50-year-old cat lady men are going to comment on this, like, Nick, keep going. Like, if indies and like if stuff's not punk rock, which I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I agree with like with I like the gamut. Like, I love McFarlane. I like anything that's also like I said, we have a guy named Brody that's doing this very kind of Robert Crumb Mad magazine type drawing, and it's just punk rock. When something hits, it hits. I mean, I love Van Halen. I'm a guitar guy, so I love Eddie Van Halen. And Van Halen was more punk than like, you know, Blink 182 or Green Day. That dude would go in there for one day, pop out like a solo or pop out an album. I don't know, like they just that I think that attitude is so cool. This attitude of no matter what you're doing, you're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's so much better than the algorithmic idea now, the machine mind, which is the only way forward, I think. And the only way that we're going to survive is to have that kind of punk rock human spirit of which the anime Gurren Lagann did a really good job of with their parallel to like what they call the spiral. That's the only way to break the algorithmic mind.
Yeah.
And it sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It's like was it John Henry trying to beat the steam engine or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a much better battle now. Like the AI, it can't keep up with the human mind, and it never will. It can't, and more importantly, it can't keep up with the human spirit. And I'm actually going to make this a short story, but I thought it might be a little too on the nose. But I was inspired by a child's book that I had as a little kid. But it's like, and imagine AI can make anything, right? Magic somehow. What it couldn't do is create a new human being. Like if two people came together and made a child, it can't make that child. That child has never existed before.
Yeah.
And just from that act of procreation, humanity stays above the machine. It can only consume. And like I'm not against AI. I've enjoyed the Will Stancil show, if you know what that is. This female artist, her name's Emily Yukas, she made a show, like a satirical show, making fun of this guy named Will Stancil. It's like a leftist journalist or something. And it's made strictly through AI because she's had 10 to 15 years of animation under her belt before, so she can make it like do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious, highly offensive as well, which why not? And I think that's art, and I think it's hilarious. I think you can do things within the machine. What you can't do is be like a slave to it. You can't be like you were talking about TikTok brained. You can't be AI brained.
Yeah, where your entire hope is for the AI to accomplish your goal, having no goal in mind in the first place. You know, I think I was thinking about AI. So I have mild artistic capabilities. I've drawn a couple things I posted on X of like one of them was a fan art of Horace H. Hoover.
Yeah.
What else was there? Elon Mudd's character, the Plunger.
Yep.
I did a couple of, but
I'm glad you know Elon, man. He's been a friend of us for like 5 or 6 years now on here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he's a promoter extraordinaire.
Oh
That
yeah,
guy,
good guy.
and I hope he gets that book going at some point.
Hmm.
It's been in the conversation for a little bit now, but hold on, great cloudy sky wants great cloudy day wants to know where can you find that show you were just mentioning.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It's called The Will Stancil Show.
Show.
Will Will Stancil Stancil. I think she's funded, not maybe not funded, but backed by the guy who made the social media Gab, and I think he's given her like access for free to their strongest AI. I think he's like, so it's really, to me, it's just interesting because it's just this one person who, and she's got some radical beliefs, like whatever,
Yeah,
but like basically fought back from being canceled for years, having no access to social media basically, and this one person given this tool is now making something
yeah,
that to me is cool. Like no matter what someone believes or doesn't, I think that's the indomitable human spirit is the basis of art.
yeah.
I mean, I'm a Christian, so I can go into a divine aspect of it if we want
Hmm.
to later, but I there's something about that's just undeniable. That's why people like Rocky.
Yeah, I had a it kind of goes along the same way where using a simple tool can if in the right hands can make something amazing. I posted a video on X. A person, speaking of Prince from earlier, had a
Yeah.
stencils of Prince singing Purple Rain, and they went and they put them on rainy car windows, and when they pulled it off, you'd see the shape of Prince, and then they made it into a stop motion film of Prince singing Purple Rain
Oof.
as this stencil, and it's a beautiful little
Yeah,
video.
that's awesome.
And I wrote that this happens to have what most of the AI stuff that you see nowadays doesn't have: creativity. That's
Yeah.
a little bit of that goes a long way. But yeah, I was thinking about, like, if I was to take my artistic style, if you want to call it that, how I draw, and take the time to feed it into an AI, could I train it enough that because I'm not ever going to have the skill and the patience to
Hmm.
draw a whole comic, but like where it could be called mine.
Yeah.
Because one thing, that is so bothersome is that most of the stuff that's out there is nobody's. It's
Yeah.
everybody's. It's just an amalgamation of whatever's popular, and it all has that tiniest hint of anime eye,
Yeah.
and is there going to be somebody who's going to be able to do that, train it really truly on their style, so that when they um, prompt
Hmm.
an image or a page, it will be theirs truly.
Well, it might be the same guy because I'm sure I never followed him before until he quit, and I don't follow him now, but I know who he is. PewDiePie from YouTube.
Mhm.
Quit with millions of dollars, moved to Japan, and he learned how to draw really well. Well, now he's talking about he just built his own AI because I mean he
Hmm.
can probably afford a million processors or whatever.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that guy decided to only feed it what he makes, and then
Hmm.
he could stand before the world and say, "This didn't steal from anybody,"
Yeah.
or at least to the idea that it wasn't provable that it learned from
Hmm.
anybody else. I mean, you could train it maybe on open source techniques. I mean, what I'm saying is there's ways to do that. And it
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me. I dare say in the next 1 to 3 years, not even 3 to 5, someone is going to use AI, the current ones, to make a pretty popular anime, I would guess.
Hmm.
I'd say in the next 3 to 5 years, someone will make one that is even more popular. And I'd say in the next 5 to 10 years, someone's going to make $1 million business based off
Yeah.
of an anime that they make. It's going to be some, like I said, 20 to 30-year-old probably in his basement that will have a really cool idea, but as you were saying, lacks the skill to do it. I can't draw.
Hmm.
Um, or this could be a person that has those skills, and that also gives him an advantage. But I'm saying someone is going to make an anime franchise that rivals other ones
Yeah.
in their basement. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
part of the punk. Like, that's the part of the youth and the punk thing. There are going to be people who this is it's going to be so heartbreaking about the manga versus comic debate now. The manga and anime out now are going to be passe to either the next generation or the one after it.
Yeah.
They're gonna want niche. They want their own guy in a basement making something cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's I got the complete Akira collection back here, and as much as a staple and cornerstone as that is to manga and anime, it's not the kids don't want
it.
Yeah. and they're going to want less and less of things. And like I said earlier about AI, AI songs, they want their very thing, and
which is cool. That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you fight corporate crap.
Yeah. I mean, earlier Nick coming in to say, wish could have made it tonight. Hope y'all are having a blast. And
Nick said artists suck.
Bristle Millman in the mystical paintbrush is all about AI. He uses his own essence to make a magical paintbrush that helps him hit deadlines. So he couldn't have done it alone.
Okay, I don't know what any of that means, but it sounds cool.
I'm going to write that down and look it up so that Bristle.
That sounds like a manga.
Millman and the mystical paintbrush. Oh, I know. I think I've seen something about that. Millman. Sorry, I'm a slow writer.
I get that. My handwriting's so bad. I have to type everything.
Yeah, my handwriting's terrible, and I don't know. I don't think I'm dyslexic, but I think my brain moves at a different speed than every part of my body.
I understand that. My wife's vocal cords move faster than her brain sometimes. But you can either. I follow a lot of people on X for a variety of different opinions, and
it's his.
That's all. It's even the more like esoteric or academic, like religious or Christian idea, like, that aren't evangelicals or any kind of thing like that. They still have a distaste for AI because they're not artists, and they have a Lewisian fear of it, which I understand. Because I mean, that hideous strength, C.S. Lewis's book, just trying to bring back a severed head, and tell them secret. It's actually a demon possessing it. I get it. I've written short stories about the demon in AI, and I've written articles that understand. So what? I mean, I don't think that this thing is naturally evil.
Mm-hmm.
Conduit. I mean, water is a conduit. Fire, the elements are conduits. People used to worship the elements. That doesn't mean everything is for evil. It means that some things or parts of it can be used for good or can be neutral.
Yeah.
The sword is not an evil invention, even though if you read just part of the Old Testament, you would think it was, because the descendants of Cain, like Tubal-Cain, were the first to supposedly make such things and use them for war. That does okay, but they were also appear being wielded by the angelic beings guarding the garden before even that. So what I'm saying is you can either doom and worrywart, or you can make something cool. Like, I think we've passed the Rubicon, and I don't know, my entire life, I mean, and you might feel the same way, might not, but we're basically the same generation, has felt like managed decline. Everything sucks and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, well, what if it doesn't have to suck? Like, what if you can do something about it? Like, what if we don't have to have people sacrificing children to Moloch on private islands or whatever? I don't care that the Tao is up, Like,
Well, I'm kind of a natural born nihilist. Like ever since I've been a kid, I joke that I was born with a black pill in my under my tongue. Um,
You're writing the next generation's Fight Club with that line.
yeah, but um, I had to talk with my stepson a few years back because he's very similar in his worldview as I am. The difference being that I have Christianity in that mix,
Yeah.
and I have the hope, the kind of foundation, those things there to kind of shore up this crumbling facade that I walk, I call life. But uh, and one of the things that I told him is like, even though I am a what I would call a natural born nihilist, I understand that I'm not an animal, I'm not a beast, and I have the ability to fight, against entropy. That's
Brilliant.
man's greatest battle and it's a constant battle is fighting against entropy and we're never going to win. It will always eventually win out if not for uh, you know uh, uh, the second coming, that kind of thing, if you believe it that way. But left to our own devices, we're going to end up a gray a bunch of gray dead heat dead universe. But while we're here, we can make it. We can fight against that as long as we can, and build something, make something, create something, make beauty out of the dust and ash that we have found ourselves in. And it can be discouraging to see the world, in a downward spiral. But I think that's one of the reasons I like this corner of X that I find myself in, is that there is people doing that. There are people, struggling because we got work, we got families, we got, all this other stuff taking up our time and our money. But, we want to put things out there that somewhere somebody's going to read and go, oh, I'm having a better day.
Well, yeah, I mean, nihilism is a luxury belief.
Mm.
And what's funny is one of the oldest examples we have of it is Ecclesiastes, and who was that written by? A king. Like it's
Yeah.
the guy under him, the farmer doesn't get to pontificate on that. He's living like, if I don't grow this, I die. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't. The farmer doesn't get to pretend that everything's useless because he faces hunger pangs.
Yeah.
Um, and I understand that, and that's also, of course, part of like our current thing. Our current world is managed decline. Everything's kind of turning to crap, but there's plenty of crap to eat.
Yeah.
Um, like, and so that vicious cycle kind of keeps going. If you're a Warhammer guy, we're almost living in like Nurgle's like garden over here. It's it's decay and destruction all the time because, but the irony of that is because there's so much to destroy. Like,
Mm.
if we want to get into that, this idea of deconstruction comes from left wing thought, progressivism, which started as an anti-Christian, anti-monarchy idea. And you continue with guys like Marx, who focused on the endless, ruthless critique of all that exists. And you drop that corrosive bomb. Like that stuff doesn't go to the Amazon. It goes to where societies have built up entire things and
Yeah.
thousands of years of history that can be devoured. And we're living through that. And I think people are just like, you know what? I'm tired of that. I'm tired
Yeah.
of everything being torn apart. And I'm tired of it on every side. I mean, that is my beef with like the anti woke commentator crowd. It's like all they know how to do is critique.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you critiquing the critiquers doesn't build anything. It
Mhm.
does. You're the leech on the tick on the dog, and or reverse that because ticks are smaller than leeches. But you see what I'm saying? At some
Yeah.
point, I mean, like I said, you're a man and a father. At some point, you look at your house and you go, "It's really dirty," and I love all of you, but we're not doing fun things till we clean. Like, or I've got to rebuild X because it
Mhm.
broke, and it's not going to magically get better. It's
Yeah.
the gate's not going to get better till I repair it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a tough, it's a scary, proposition though, and I think that's one of the things that one of the places that we're at is, you know, there is a lot of tearing down. There is a lot of people getting tired of it, but are there enough people who aren't scared of the hard things that have to be done to fix it, to bolster up the society that offers so much freedom and so much goodness, and are we just gonna continue on in our TikTok brain?
Well, I love that meme. It's like the fix everything quick button. It's like it's a
Mhm.
button that says fix everything quick, and all the comments are like, "Oh, we can't push that. You don't want to push that. Why would you push that?" Like it's like this is the commentator world. Like, no, we can't possibly do that because it would be a problem. It's if you don't have that fire and drive though, and this is where maybe I get a little too boisterous because whatever you say, you have to live up to, and that's really hard.
Mhm.
And this is something the lucid lucid podcast he does, or I'm blanking on his real name, and that's going to bother me because he's such a nice guy and a good friend. He's on X. He promotes comics.
Mhm.
Lucid
Oh,
Production.
um, Julius.
Yes, yeah, great guy. A lot of our modern, like the Godfrey universe online presence, kind of started with I saw a debate between two other guys on his show that basically boiled down to objectivism versus subjectivism
Mhm.
in art. And their
That
debate
was
was a
that
little,
was, that was Tony.
and
Uh,
Tyler.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's basically what they were coming down to. And we got in a lot of hot water because, like, I just started commenting on, okay, well, like, subjectivism is a ridiculous idea, basically. Like, it defeats itself. But the harsh part is that it's much harder to defend the idea of objectivism. It expects something from you. You have to reiterate it. You have to appeal to it. It's so easy to say, well, everything's subjective.
Mhm.
But that's how everything in life is. Like, I'm not trying to beat it into the ground, but this kind of comes from Chesterton and Lewis, this kind of holistic idea, not in the Gnostic sense, but the whole sense. Again, you're a father. I'm a father. You know that there are rights and wrongs and that the little things matter.
Mhm.
And the little things echo out into eternity. And if we want to get theological with it, what you were talking about, heat death and denialism and eventual entropy, the Christian worldview, and I could say there's others, maybe like the divine worldview or so, as opposed to the material, says, okay, there's eventual death, but every second of every day ripples throughout eternity forever.
Mhm.
And that is you if you contemplate that, it means everything matters. And when you contemplate that, it means that you have to make things that are objectively good. And when you contemplate that, it means I have to strive to be objectively good. And
Mhm.
when you contemplate that, you realize how shit of a person you are.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds whatever, but that's what art has to be. It doesn't have to be pure and puritanical, but it has to be true and good.
Yeah.
And that can look like John Wick exacerbating revenge because you killed his dog.
Mhm.
And why is that? Well, because it's wrong to kill a dog. Well, why? Because some truths are bigger than your stupid cultural idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I could articulate that better, but all that to say, like, I can only handle so much of people talking about Eric July.
Yeah.
That's not making good art for me.
Yeah, yeah, having discussions and thinking thoughts that are that do touch
Yeah,
on the eternal, that do touch on objective truths, kind of needed, particularly
yeah,
in this day and age, where everything is fleeting and everything is subjective and everything is your opinion and the opinion of those few people that you found on the internet to be angry along with.
my
um,
friends, FRENS.
my interesting. My partner at work, he's goes to a church where apparently they've been having some discussions about Christian nationalism, and this weekend they decided they're having a kind of a I guess you'd call it a what would you call it, a forum, a discussion. All the men are getting together to discuss their stance, like with what like they did in the old days.
Yeah, that's
They
pretty
gather
cool.
around, and if there were more people, more groups willing to do that, and then come up with something where they in the end stood on it and
Yeah.
said, this is what we've come up with, whether it creates a schism and some people leave or not, this is where we stand,
Oh yeah.
and we're not moving.
Well, that idea you just spoke of standing on something is something I've been thinking about a lot, because there's a passage I'm sure you're aware of in Revelation where Christ talks about someone, a church not being, neither being lukewarm
Mhm.
nor cold water, and he spits them out. And that's a profound statement. I mean, everything Christ says is a profound statement. It's like, but it doesn't necessarily. It can't mean, because people used to interpret it that it meant like you were good or bad. That's not what he. That doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Why would he keep what is bad?
Yeah.
It means that there are multifaceted ways of being, not aligning with God. There's only one way to God, and that's through Christ. But there's multiple faceted ways of being and interacting, and any way is better to go full force into that than
Mhm.
to waffle. And the modern world doesn't like that because it's a terrifying idea. But as you were saying, like, men used to be like, we're writing up some bylaws, and
Mhm.
whatever their imperfection, we'll stand by it.
Mhm.
And that's hard to do because that requires consequences when someone opposes it. You have to hold that line, and you have to maybe die for it. But that's, I don't know, like I get in trouble sometimes on X because every time, and it's not because I'm from the South, but it's like there's this new thing about this talking point of how we should have punished the Confederate leaders worse. They should have
Yeah.
been killed or hanged. It's like, okay, just objectively, those guys were better men than you'll ever meet now. Like, we don't have to agree with slavery because slavery is awful,
Mhm.
but a lot of those guys didn't agree with it, but they also didn't agree with federal overreach and destruction
Mhm.
of their states. But just like as a person, Robert E. Lee, you're not going to meet a man like that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially a man that says, I don't agree like with what's happening on either side, but I'm taking a stand regardless, and
Yeah.
I'm willing to die for it.
Mhm.
And a man like that who, even in his surrender, was so well decorated and carried himself well that the men he surrendered to felt humbled in his presence when you read their writings.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, how many men have you met like that today? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. Like,
Yeah. To have the ability to also to have the ability to see both sides of
yeah,
arguments is something I think is becoming rarer and rarer. To have a Robert E. Lee who didn't agree with how things were being run, but he also didn't want federal overreach. Like, to have that balance of like, there's no good side here, you
yeah,
know, and I have to fight for the thing that I find is the most right, and nowadays we're getting to a point where everyone is just picking sides, like, and sticking to them, no matter
Mhm.
how ridiculous it gets. Whether it's the left carrying, waving a different flag every week because they're told to, or the right suddenly posting memes of Hitler being some sort of great Christian
Yeah,
leader,
right.
and it's like you got, or your Israel Palestine debate. Like, how about this? They're both bad. You guys ever thought of that?
Yeah, how about
Like,
I don't get involved with a 5,000-year-old blood feud?
yeah.
Like that. Yeah, that's another thing, man. It's like it's there's wars in the Congo every week.
Mhm.
No one cares, and I'm not trying to be flippant or mean because they are. No one look up what bushmeat is if you don't know what it is. Like that happens all the time,
Yeah.
and
Remember when what was that guy's name?
Coney,
Coney
yeah,
for five
Coney
minutes.
2012, yeah. It's like there's like 100 Conies since then,
Mhm.
and I, the way that used to be dealt with, and I'm not saying right or wrong or whatever, it's like no one would say we're raising awareness
Mhm.
to do what. They would say they would bring it if it reached like a leader. They'd say he's doing what to children. Okay, we're gonna
Yeah.
go kill that guy. And it's like, well, that's it. It was 1 or 0.
Mhm.
And I think we've lost a ton of that by saying, oh, well, there's point 2, there's point 6, there's point 8. When a lot of things in life are 1 or 0, either it doesn't involve you or you use force to stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, appealing to the family unit, but you're out with your wife. If there's a threat, it's 1.
Mhm.
If not, it's 0. I'm not going to be concerned if some guy like down the road, like life's not a movie. If there's
Yeah.
some drunk guy like yelling something, I don't care. If he
Yeah.
like messes with your family, it's 1.
Mhm.
I think that's how most of life should be. It's like I'm sorry, like I can't pretend to care about but only so many things. And
Yeah.
I don't think that makes people a bad person to say I don't care that we're threatening certain microbes in the ocean with plastics that I
Yeah.
don't stop the plastic machine. Like
Yeah. I've been my wife recently has been I don't know, becoming aware of certain things, the Epstein thing coming up,
oh
coming up on the
yeah.
news and stuff, and becoming aware of certain things that, listen, my love, I've told you, I've mentioned these things, you just never listened to me
Yep.
before. But now, not, but she,
I'm
has
glad the
that,
makeup girl on Facebook shared it. Like
yeah. But she has, I think, that kind of a common question that I think a
yeah.
lot of wives end up having towards a husband, which is, aren't you scared? Doesn't this bother you? Aren't you worried about this? And it's like, well, yes, it's bothersome. Yes, it's worrisome. But at the end of the day, what am I supposed to do? We got rent due tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, and having that, we're there. There's a lot of really bad things going on every day, all over. Oh, if we are blessed enough to get through our really bad day and come out the other end, shining like a diamond, we'll look into some of those.
Well,
But
it's a I was laughing about this the other day. It's like with Epstein, it's like, bro, how bad of a creep do you have to be to make people not care about aliens? Like, it's like, oh, we're releasing alien files. Nobody cares, man. Like, maybe they'll get the Epstein files for us.
yeah, you had mentioned earlier about the AI and, like, is it like demons or whatever, like
Yeah,
what I had said earlier about writing little AI songs before the stream.
yeah.
Um, this week, because of knowing, about the Godful universe and whatnot, I was trying. The reason I didn't write the song is because I couldn't find a good way to fit Nephilim into. I wanted to make a joke about, yeah, I wrote the lyrics, but the music's made by like the unbodied spirits of Nephilim living in the
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, that's I assume you might be referring to like Dr. Heiser's work,
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Unseen Realm. Yeah.
yeah. I just this was it 2 days ago. I'm sure you know of what's that show called? Blurry Creatures.
Yeah.
Their guest, whose name I can't remember right now, Ryan Pitterson. This week, I ended up going kind of down a rabbit hole of listening to a bunch of his interviews, and kind of want to get his books. Heiser's, the stalwart. He's the kind of voice crying out in the wilderness. But this guy, his work sounds to me much more. I don't know. It seems more attainable.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, I'm definitely going to look into his stuff. The Judgment of the Nephilim and the Last Nephilim are his two books that are out there.
I'll check those out.
Yeah, he had some interesting thoughts that I had never heard before, but he backed them up pretty well scripturally. And yeah, so
going back, like your wife coming like, not now, honey. I'm piecing together a lot of stuff. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, my partner at work, he started like I'm interested, and I don't not agree, but I'm still like, but there's still some stuff in there that's kind of like, this is a little far for me to buy into right now. But the my partner, though, man, he just jumped right in. Like, he is 2 feet, just put his arms in his side and right into the deep end. And he'll come in and we'll have conversations before we start our workday, where sometimes I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense, and other times I just go, yeah, that's interesting. But
well, it's an interest. Like the AI thing is an interesting idea because it's, if you follow the logic of the Nephilim argument, let's entertain it, right? And I could be wrong here, but they, according to this, to the same arguments, these things could at some way latch on to idols. That's what idols were for. So I don't know why they would need high-tech machinery to get attached to rocks. The possession idea, and of course, like the Nephilim idea of like angels coming down, mating with human women. I liked Heischer's analogy of it's a negative incarnation. Like it is a bastardization of the divine incarnation of Christ and God. And the difference is, the angels didn't begot something, they had children, as opposed to God could begot himself as his son through physical, and it be one being.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I appreciate the AI in the ghost in the machine idea. It's a little far fetched for me to think. You would think blood would have to be involved some way. You think flesh would have to be involved some way, and that's the direction we took with the Godful universe. Is that the elites creating this God machine with this alien metal have realized that they need like a human part of it. There has to be a medium of some sort. And I don't know, man. I do think spiritual forces like, this is what always bothered me about my own Protestantism, and I'm not a Catholic or Orthodox, but I've looked at more of those because I realized that if modern day evangelical Protestantism is right, that somehow means that every Christian before 1960 was wrong. Like, and I can't accept that.
Yeah.
But the Protestant view has no problem accepting demonic spirits, but it does not have a good framework for divine or benevolent spirits. And that's the only thing I've kind of, and like I said, I appreciate Heischer's work and all that. But again, what's kept me kind of from blackpilling on it so much is that there's more than just evil spirits at work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if there were, we'd already be like, dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for me, one of the things that, and kind of like, with Godfo, like you find things that you latch onto and you think story wise,
Yeah.
So, you carry on like, whoa, he says something that's, my partner will say something that's like, and they're doing this and that. And I'm like, oh, how can I watch this into a cool story?
Tell
Because
me more. Yeah.
that's a really cool idea. But what gets me, what kind of, I guess, the point at which I kind of pull off on the side of the road on our conversations is when he starts to get into, and if you look at all the superheroes and you look at all the comic books,
Yeah.
they're all based on these ideas, and it's like Satan is using them to poison,
like
predictive programming,
Yeah.
and those sorts of things. And I'm thinking, like, here's the problem. Like Kirby, Stanley, like these guys are just, they're not part of the Illuminati. They're just guys hanging out thinking of cool stories. You know how I know? Because I've thought of those cool stories, and I'm not part of the Illuminati.
Am I?
Yeah, or maybe
Plot twist.
but like, you've thought of stories that use a lot of these sorts of ideas. Good, evil, demons, angels, possession, whatever it is. People come up with these because they make for cool stories.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to convince everyone who reads our stories to be prepared, because this is what you have to accept right now. We're going to, feed it down, shove it down your throat, and which is how far they go on that, in those circles. And I'm like, no. Sometimes we just come up with stuff. We don't mean to be evil. We just like stories, and a story's not going to be fun if it's just, as fun as nice as Winnie the Pooh is, it's fairly boring.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has stories where he literally does nothing, and that solves the problem. It's that kind of speaks to what I'm trying to articulate a little bit, is that when you start, you don't see a positive vision for these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I mean, I'll be the first, and literally have been on Twitter, to be like, all right, to argue Superman is a Christ figure. Mm-hmm. Because he is. There's no getting around it. I don't care that a Jewish guy made him. Hey, guess who made the Bible, guys? A bunch of Jewish guys. But I get like, okay, well, like his power is kind of, or like a sun god from Egypt. It's like, okay, mm-hmm. Well, Tolkien had this wonderful idea of the true myth, which is basic Christianity, which is Paulinian ideas of, there's these stories and ideas and these truths that are directed from Christ and come towards Christ, but they're not the exact truth.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're bad. They're truths. Like, why do you think there was the idea of a recurring God of death and cycle before Christ? If you're a Christian, you would say, well, because that's a true thing. Mm-hmm. And just because something wasn't that doesn't necessarily mean it's evil, though it could have been used for evil. It just means there are truths that human beings recognize in the world. Like Paul made that argument. It's like, there's tons of brilliant men who just recognize these patterns.
Yeah.
And good and evil is part of it. Wish fulfillment of power, and, and destruction of evil and justice. And those are all good things. But like, of course, the idea of a man getting his power from the sun and defeating evil. No, I don't. Again, like that idea of the Illuminati, predictive programming of everything, is like that idea of everything's demonic. Harry Potter is evil, when Harry Potter is like a Christ story. Mm-hmm. And I read a story. I mean, I read a Substack on Black Adam, the movie, which I enjoyed. It's my first dad movie. When I became a, that's the movie I saw when I became a dad, and I saw it like 6 times for free because the people at my local theater are like 16-year-olds. They're not going to stop you from just walking in. And I paid once, and so I just kept going. So I have to say that movie is good enough. It's Dragon Ball Z basically,
Mhm.
but it's really interesting because it it is an old world pagan avatar god. Black
Mhm.
Adam is given power by the gods of his people for the protection of his people, which is
Mhm.
again my argument against just because Superman was written by Jewish figures and it's a Moses thing. It's like, okay, Jewish figures or Jewish heroes, they fight for the Jewish people, which
Mhm.
is understandable. That's what that's what all old world gods and figures did. Christianity was the first universal hero.
Yeah.
All right, so we start with that. That's what Black Adam does. Black Adam fails to save his people. He awakens, knows he's not a hero because he failed his people.
Mhm.
He starts fighting for his people, and those people are hyper nationalist, hyper ethno nationalist, hyper religious ethno nationalist because they're Middle Eastern people.
Mhm.
And they're fighting against the neoliberal world order trying to impose its law on them to exploit their country.
Yeah.
First of all, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy for an American superhero movie to come out. Second, he becomes a hero by literally relinquishing his power and being buried in Amanda Wallace's underground or underwater um prison.
Mhm.
Kenosis. He gets rid of his divine power, dies, is reborn, reclaims it, and defeats evil to save not just his people but the world. Black Adam becomes a hero by imitating the Christ myth.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm not trying to academicize all of that. It's
Yeah.
just like someone could see that and be like, oh, it's a pagan war god and it's evil because his power is based off the demonic.
Mhm.
Or you could say, and again, I'm not trying to be blasphemous here, but I'm working on this kind of theory, which Chesterton and the guy that influenced Lewis and Tolkien a lot, George MacDonald,
Mhm.
they had a pseudo, and I don't want to, I'm using this term not improperly, so just grant me this, guys, pantheistic view
Mhm.
of kind of a question that's not really there, but it kind of is like, what if there was a spiritual world that was almost Gnostic and woke up with the revelation of Christ? Picture this, like suppose there were fairies and such creatures, trolls and such creatures that didn't quite know what they were, and with the revelation of Christ they're forced to choose a side. They now realize something
Mhm.
exists. You know what, you see what I'm saying? I'm kind of going with
Yeah.
that. And that's how I think that's a really interesting idea, whether it's true or not. There's some big truth to that about the spiritual realm and about these stories and about these kind of truths, where if Black Adam existed today and the gods that made him today, the Christian world and what we would believe now that we believe now with about our heroes that we don't know we believe would say the only way you can be a hero is to imitate Christ. We
Mhm.
demand that from our heroes, even as non-Christians in the world today.
Yeah.
And I'm answering all that to say, like,
Mhm.
that's what the problem I have with, like, not the man I don't know, your friend's worldview. That I don't know that I got a 2-second rundown of from you. But you see what I'm saying? Like, that idea
Yeah.
is in us, at least
Yeah.
in the Western culture.
Yeah. That concept of if a story, if a work of art touches us on some level, it's it's the truth in it
Yeah,
that's doing it. The hero acting heroically is whether he's John, like you mentioned earlier, John Wick, not a good guy.
yeah,
He's an assassin. He's been killing people for quite a while, but the action that he's taking at this point is something that is a true action. It's based on a truth. So having those things, and you can't escape them if it's a good piece of work, if it's a good piece of art, if it's a good story. There are stories that come out where they miss the point entirely. Have you ever what's his name? He was the Christian philosopher, theologian who wore the lederhosen. What was his name? But he wrote a book called How Then Shall We Live?
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Let me search it because I know you're talking about.
But have you ever
Francis Schaeffer?
Have you ever listened to or read that, in particular, How Then Shall We Live?
I've got it. Haven't read it.
He touches on a lot of this in there of even when people try to destroy those truths in art, they have to build on an already existing foundation of truth to try to do it.
Oh yeah.
He talks about a composer who wrote a computer program. This is back in the 70s or 60s or something. Who wrote a computer program to play random discordant notes on a keyboard. And that was like his attempt to break down music and say, it's what, and then he's like
John Cage or something like that.
Yeah, but you had to write a program to pull that off.
You had to create order.
There's there's no way around that. And to have this idea, as you were talking about your take on Black Adam, literally in my head I could hear his version of it. So he was buried in a thing under the sea. Well, the sea, you see, is a place of chaos. So he comes out of chaos, and he's gonna, all so that black pill version of what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. I mean, that idea of order and chaos is a biblical idea. I've often said, and I hope I have this in a Substack somewhere, but the description God gives of the Leviathan in Job, maybe Job 40. I'm probably wrong about that. It's one of the best descriptions of art, of the artistic process. It's God saying, who can grab this thing? Who can wrangle it? Who can put a nose, or who can put a ring through its nose and show it to its children? And to me, it's a beautiful idea. It's like he didn't destroy it. I mean, in Jewish religion, he does destroy it later. But it's this idea of you're taking this insurmountable thing, this being of chaos that cannot be conquered, and you're wrangling it, you're fighting it, and you're not destroying it, because if you destroy it, you take what it is. You destroy, it's gone. And instead, you bring it into order, and that's why its power is impressive, because you conquered it. And it's still intact. You can still see its horrific beauty and power and strength, but it's under control.
Yeah.
That's art.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that's kind of what I had mentioned earlier, that entropy, fighting against entropy. It's kind of the same thing where you're taking all all things tend towards chaos and wrangling it and building with what we have and fighting against that downward spiral that it's it's a good I like this I like these thoughts. I like this conversation. It's I like I said, I do have a lot of conversations with my partner, but a lot of it is just me going, that's a little, in my head I'm thinking, I don't think so.
That's a little much, dude.
Yeah. Like,
well, and there's there's a beauty in this idea of beauty and potential. And it sounds so wild and it sounds so cheesy and stupid, but it's like, what if things didn't suck? Like,
Yeah.
what if what if there were solid truths you could grab onto and build on? But that is a complete, and that's again going back to, if we have to go back to indie comics drama, that's the difference between subjectivism and objectivism.
Mhm.
Subjectivism says you can build anything because you can't, because nothing can be built and nothing matters because everything matters, but therefore it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Objectivism is like, no, there's a goal, it's hard, it's multifaceted, there's multiple ways to that, and
Mhm.
it's hard to articulate and it's hard to build to. And it's like this, like, to be a good father, there are some things that are base foundation,
Yeah.
but the multifaceted nature is your child is different from every child on the planet. Your
And from
day,
every child in the house.
yeah, that ever existed. Your second of your day is different from every second of your day, multiplied by like unquantifiable variables of your child, of you in that second of every day. So people would argue, well, that's subjective. Like, no, there's an objective good. It's just, it's multifaceted and hard to get to,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
and this one particular kid, the let's say the oldest one, handles hard truths better. The second one handles
Yep.
jokes better.
Yep.
They really connect with the comedy of their dad for whatever reason, you know. But it's that's how they're taught, you know. That, yeah, there's different ways to get there, but the point is, you know, there is where you're going.
Yeah. And I think that solves the problem of art. There's objectively good art that you may not like.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean it's bad. There's objectively bad art that you might love. I like Black Adam. um, there's that doesn't. It's just, I don't know. I don't think, and we're all guilty of it. I was for a long time too. And there's still things that no one thinks about and that you can't think about.
Hmm.
But what bothers me is the average person now is told subjectivism is the absolute objective truth, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, the truth is that that there is no truth is, and you can't bring that to art, man. Like,
Mhm.
that really, really, really pisses me off, because you know where it leads? It leads to clicks, views, and a cash grab.
Yeah.
No matter what, it always leads to that. If you have that in your heart when you are making, it will go to that.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. You cannot base your foundation on subjectivism.
I'm gonna give you I don't know if this is gonna work out. Okay, but let me see if I can find it. You've seen the movie. What was it? Madam Web.
No, I did
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
I know what it is.
So I watched Madam Web with my wife, and I hated it. Hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it. Just terrible. And my wife feels like I hate everything. She's like, you just don't like any movies. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's not true at all.
Mine does that
Um,
too.
you know, she's like, you know, so what did you not like about it? And I said it was bad, but without any sort of passion.
Yeah.
It was bad with zero passion. And I think that that's kind of what you're talking about. There's bad art that we can like, but I think behind it most of the time is some sort of, someone's taking a chance.
Yeah.
Someone's shooting for something. They just miss it so terribly bad. One of my favorite movies
Oh, The Room. Yep.
of all time. It is so bad. Like, you know, objectively,
Yeah.
this is a very bad movie, but he tried so hard
Yeah.
that and there's a joy. I don't know. There's something about someone failing miserably that yes, there's like a little bit of, I guess, sadistic joy that I get from it,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would much rather give him whatever that DVD cost on his website. That's $25, than some didn't try at all.
Yeah.
Madam Web, the money to throw at this, just to make these special effects and put out this pile. I didn't. There was no joy in it. There was no like this. I laughed at. There was a reaction. Madam Web, nothing. No, there was no laughter. There was no. It was just this slow boiling anger. Because that's what it is. There's nothing behind it. There is, like, to get back, there was no there. I don't know what he was trying to tell, what truth that guy was trying to get out, and whether he did or not, I don't, but there was no even mild trying of any sort of truth being told through that Madam Web movie.
Well, it's like your child's crappy macaroni art is more enjoyable than the corporate art on Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
Like, like there's something to this. Like something, you already summed it up perfectly. Something with heart trying and failing is better than slop.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can, and that's a primal thing, man. Like that's almost like a masculine thing. Like you can take the piss out of your friend that got rejected by a girl,
Yeah,
but you're gonna hate like the male feminist, like that's just a creep,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll have fun making fun of your friend who got rejected by the girl. He tried his hardest, failed. You will beat the hell out of the guy who cheats on his wife. Yeah. So, yeah, and I to bring it back to indie comics, I do think I saw your post earlier about not a lot of people like to talk about stuff that's going on in indie comics because not a lot of it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
But I do think there are a few out there that are doing some really, really cool stuff. And
absolutely. The problem is that they're not getting the views and the clicks.
No, yeah, but and kind of why I wanted to start this little stream. They're still not getting the views. But I get to meet some cool people and talk to have some fun conversations and stuff. Whether it's getting deeper into some, thought-provoking theologies and ideologies versus, just talking about movies or music, and how those things affect, creators that I talk to. It's all fun. It's all enjoyable. I really like it. So
I do too, man. And like, I think most things probably were more democratically distributed before. I just think the algorithm, like the views and clicks, I don't, because people will sell it by like, oh, people like drama. It's like, I don't know if they do or if it's a feedback from the algorithm itself too. Like like the algorithm is designed to extremify everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that also forms a loop where you become a slave to it. So I don't think that it's just that people like X, Y, Z. I think it's a loop creating this thing. And I think once you get into that part of the machine, it's eating you alive and you're stuck in it.
Oh yeah. It's just like, it's TikTok brain. It's you scroll to the next video and it gives you that little dopamine hit. Well, it's even more so when you write a snarky comment, and someone else agrees or disagrees, and it gets you excited. It gets you and now you feel like you're connecting. Now you feel like you're making a difference. Now you feel like you're doing something, and you're not.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets them good, and it's a fight to not get got.
I think there's a positive aspect of social media engagement. I think there's a positive aspect of debate. I think there's a positive aspect of
Mm,
mudslinging. I think some ideas should be publicly like made fun
yeah.
of. I think the problem, at least for me growing up, especially as a Christian, it was like, this kind of stuff is pointless. It's like, well, it didn't seem pointless for your enemies to do it and take over. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like telling people like, oh, repairing the gates is pointless. Why?
Mhm.
Because it's hard and no one ever invades. Well, what happens when they invade? Like, it's like you're gonna wish you had kept the gates up. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. I don't believe this is the strangeness of things because I don't believe in straight neutrality anymore for most things. I believe it's important to engage in things. Like I don't think AI is necessarily neutral, and I don't believe it's necessarily evil. I think it can be good or bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be radical here, but I really do think most people before the 20th century, well, maybe we go further back, like French Revolution at least, I think they most likely had a 0-1 view of the world for most
Mhm.
things. I don't think most of them stopped to check that the snake in the garden had round pupils or a weird shaped head. I think if they saw a snake in their garden, they killed it
Mhm.
instead of getting a lecture on social media about why you shouldn't kill it if it's not venomous. Like, I'm not getting close enough to it to see
Yeah.
if it's venomous or not. And I understand it's just, but like that nuanceification of everything destroys the hard barriers that should exist.
Yeah.
It's the dialectic of melting down. And we could do a 4-hour talk on this, but we got to a point where we couldn't answer what is a woman. Like, and that's not me being like Daily Wire complaining. I'm just like, my God, like,
Mhm.
and we get there by putting .2, .3, .4 between 0 and 1.
Mhm.
Something should be 0 and 1.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a certain amount of it kind of get falls into like nice guy syndrome where
Yeah.
you can either take the woman, bash her over the head, and take her back to the cave, or you can mealy mouth, just kind of hope for the best.
Yeah, that's going to get
Yeah.
clipped.
But
But no, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
but then you learn at some point that the woman actually kind of wants to be dragged back to the cave.
Yeah.
On a,
Maybe
on
not
a
bashed on the head, but
yeah, but on a certain level, the woman wants the 0 and 1 man,
yeah. Well, the
and
0-1 man builds civilization.
mhm, and protects the house, and and kills the snake. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the the where people fall apart and get it wrong is blessed are the peacemakers,
Yep.
and that's a completely different thing than blessed are the peacekeepers.
Yeah.
The makers,
Well,
going back to the snake thing, the makers will wake up, smash things around the house to kill the snake, waking up the whole family.
yeah.
The peacekeepers will say, no, let's just wait until we wake up. The kids are awake. And the snakes, slithering around the house doing who knows what.
Well, to tie those together, not to interrupt, tie those together, that's the ending of Lady and the Tramp. It's like
Mhm.
he's this uncontrollable masculine force around town. He's a nuisance.
Mhm.
But when the rat comes in and threatens the baby, that's the dude that goes in there and kills the rat. And that's when she falls in love with him, really.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, the tramp, basically men, are domesticated, and you take their force and you force it outward.
Yeah.
And if we can go into, you can go into the whole thing with this, but like that's what patriarchy was. It was a taming of man,
Mhm.
and saying instead of turning it towards women and towards each other, we turn it out. You turn it
Mhm.
towards nature. You turn it towards other bad men. That's the foundation of civilization.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like again, it's we now have to pontificate basic truths because now they're not basic truths anymore.
Yeah.
Like now we have to build the front porch because somebody let it crumble.
Okay, so then let's do a little bit of like I said, I would like to write. I got some ideas and stuff, and a lot of the ideas I realized, a lot of my ideas are about manhood, becoming a man. And it's a lot of it has to do with the fact that growing up, my greatest fear was growing up. And and what okay so what how do you work those sorts of ideas into your storylines where it doesn't get preachy, too obvious, or whatever? How do as you're writing your filling out your universe, how are you getting these ideas across that aren't one of the things about the left has done in the past, the reason the left kind of, if you want to say, won the culture war, or has gotten so far ahead in the culture war, is because previously they told stories and they sprinkled. They've gotten to the point where they've just ideas and they sprinkle in maybe a little story.
Yeah.
How do you write something where you're not just, here's my idea, here's my ideals, I'm here's manhood,
Well, to answer that in both ways, one reason, and this is me being partisan because of, again, 0-1, right? The reason the left couldn't throw their ideas in is because their ideas are bad. It's, you can only throw in so many poop flecks into a soup before you taste it, to be crude. But if you have chili powder or something, you can throw in more of it and it seasons it well. Salt, a good bit of it. And to invert it a little bit, again, one reason people like manga is because manga will ham fist an idea in it. Look at All Might, and look at a lot of these guys, like Kazuma, what I think is his name, from Gurren Lagann, who this whole thing is like, be a man, have willpower and strength, and push through evil. And people love it. It's the most like, but it's the format they do it in. It's a little exaggerated. The thing with anime and manga is it's separated from reality enough that you can put reality in it, and it cartoonizes a little bit, but it works. But to your original question, the way I do it, I found myself doing a lot of it, is embracing the negativity and the nihilism of the world to show how empty it is. And that's what, especially with Kolga here, Kolga has lived through the modern, I'd say leftist or progressive Gnostic view of the world, of there being only power and it's a closed system. She grew up in a time where God, as they call it, existed, and for better or worse, controlled everything. And there was order. That's the one thing she understands. Like, she does give it, like, there was order, and it's better than the chaos that she calls. She actually, in her youth, and for all intents and purposes, started a communist revolution, an anti-God revolution. And what she saw from the fallout was order exists for a reason.
Yeah.
And so she strives to try to reconcile this idea of order and chaos and dominion and power over versus self-liberation. And I've found, at least to me, that it's fun to explore those ideas narratively to reach an end and almost let the reader answer the question themselves.
Yeah.
With Apollyon, you're at the beginning of that world because you're in our time, and it's a bit more direct, especially with volume 3 and 4 and 5 that's coming out. Like, you're going to see the end of the world, and you're going to see a father-like figure talking to a guy who had a really awful kind of father, and he's explaining that what he learned through his view of the world being negated and destroyed is that the only thing he had in his life was the image of his father. And he realized that that's how all of humanity for a certain time got through chaos and death and destruction, was only the image of their father. That's all man had.
Yeah.
And they, from his point of view, which is, the psychological view, they map that onto God. God is then the ultimate father. So we take all this is the more Petersonian and Jung idea of the archetype. You take all the positive aspects of all fathers and you put it all in one. And of course, the Christian view is the reverse of that. We only know what a father is because a father exists above. Yeah. But they reach the same conclusion if you're being truthful. So to answer your question, I think it's just being honest. I think it's better to take that view and the manga view and just, if these ideas are good and they're true, throw them in there. I don't care if they're kind of ham-fisted or kind of schlocky. Who cares? I'm a huge Snyderverse fan, and like Snyder straight up had Superman in the Jesus Christ pose, and I think it worked great. And people want to cringe at this. Like, why are you cringing at it? Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because for like 80 years you were told it's cringe. Get over it. Like, it's cool. It's awesome. Like, this guy dies to save the world. Let him absorb radiation like this. Like, I think a lot of things that people believe, they think they believe because someone on a screen told them to believe it.
Yeah.
Or someone in a classroom told them to believe it. I go back to what you were talking about, and what Lewis said was there's something in emotions. Like, Lewis particularly was anti-stoic because Christians aren't stoics. It's, no, emotions are good. Like, they don't rule you, but they can shape you to logic because your emotions can tell you quicker than your logic can if something is good or bad.
Yeah.
And his example in Abolition of Man of the waterfall, you see the waterfall, you're awed by it. That's good. You should be awed by it. The man without a chest isn't, or says he's not awed by it. And why should I be awed by it? Like, I'm trying to get to a point there. It's like, I would at this point lean more towards, I don't care if it's ham-fisted, just put it in there. I think people would, again, go back to the room, even if something is tripped over, it's better that they were running than some jackass standing still and making fun of you for running yourself.
Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. I like that. I like that idea of leaning into it. I think where it's particularly with conservative / Christian entertainment, is when they the drive to teach, which is not a bad drive, far surpasses the desire to entertain, or at least teach through entertainment, and you get Ben Franklin and the two peppy news kids who are, and these cartoons where it's just it's just there's nothing, there's no entertainment value. There's no kids want to see it.
The contradiction there is, and this is good, the whole political thing, is I don't consider Christian and conservative the same thing. The conservatives haven't conserved anything Christian as far as I'm concerned. But like the real thing behind it, though, the real problem is that most Christian, or we'll say conservative art, refuses to act like Christianity. Christianity is God coming down into the mud and blood with you. It is not God being above and staying away and lecturing. And if you get something as stupid as God's not dead, which does not engage with the Nietzschean argument of God is dead, and you get these kind of things where they will not engage, they will not go down. The God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament are the same God.
Yeah.
And you look at the God of the Old Testament, and what he does is systemically accept the challenges of other gods. When Goliath comes onto the field, he says, okay, I'm going to kill you because you're a warrior. You're here for a warrior God. I'm going to show you I'm the bigger warrior God.
Yeah.
Whenever he went to Egypt and said, let my people go, the 10 plagues are him systematically assassinating every single one of their gods. The god of the Nile, the god of plagues, the god of everything. And eventually gets, and this is a whole thing I'd love to get into later, it gets to the last one, which is Pharaoh. He says, okay, you're claiming you're a divine being, your line is divine, I'm killing your son, which shouldn't happen. And the reason he's doing that is because that's the price that God paid, that Jehovah paid with the crucifixion of Christ. He says, he's saying the price to be God is for your son to die. I paid that price. And now you're paying it because you're saying you're me. And it's he gives, and that's what's funny about not funny, but it seems the God of the Old Testament has more leniency for people who worship a foreign god than for people who claim to be God, if that makes sense. Like, people who worship idols, he seems to have some kind of stay, but when a leader claims to be God, he wrecks them.
Yeah.
And all that to say, Christian art doesn't have to be crude, doesn't have to be lewd, but it has to get into the mud, blood, and shit, excuse the language, of the world, because that's what our God did. If you're not doing that, you're not making Christian art. Christian art is good. Christian art defined art for 1,500 to 2,000 years.
Yeah.
It can keep going. The problem is they won't do the Christian example.
That could be why Jack Chick did so well.
Oh yeah,
Chick tracts. Remember those?
I do.
Because he got some of those were dark, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he I think they're still going.
I don't know. I've actually seen a few in the wild. Like, I saw one in Black Mountain, North Carolina one time.
I used to see them laundromats when I was a kid. You know, they'd be there, but yeah, they touched on exorcisms and all kinds of dark things. But there was never a time I wasn't entertained with them.
Well, I mean, it's a whole thing, and I wish I could teach Christian artists that idea, or there's better people than me to teach it, to read it. But it's like, if your God comes and dies on a cross, the flesh must be important. Like, we're Gnostics. The world must be important if Christ died for it. Ideas must be important if he's the Logos. There must, basically, if you're going to do Christian art, open up your page and start bleeding.
Yeah.
It
kind of runs into that concept of the very concept of works based versus grace based. Does our art have to be pure before it can be accepted?
Right.
Before it can be have any sort of effect?
No.
We put in the same way when we talk to our children. We don't come at them with I've been this perfectly smart well-behaved person. No, kid, I was just like you. I stuck my finger in that socket too. That's why I know
Yeah.
not to do that.
I know how stupid I am, so you don't have to do that. You got half of me in you, so like you're at least going to be half as stupid.
Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, that's a solid answer to bring that understanding into the art, because people, yeah, it, you know, you hear about representation, you know, that's representation right there. I see myself in the dumb mistakes this person made, and by the end of it, they come out with some sort of hope, some sort of joy. That sounds good to me. Like,
well, the big problem with if Christianity can't answer the problems of life, it's not worth believing.
yeah.
And that includes every part of life. That includes like the Punisher. Like,
Mhm.
you don't agree with the Punisher's extrajudicial justice, but you do agree with the punishment of the wicked. You may not agree that he should be randomly killing people, but you do agree that those people should die for what they've done.
Mhm.
A Christian can still write the story like the Punisher. You don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
And you can explore, and that's the whole point, is like you can explore, and it's not to pull people towards a certain way, it's just to express it. It's just so that it exists, because if truth is truth, the plumb line is there for people to compare it to regardless. And some people, the problem, like, people rejected God himself when he was on earth. They crucified him. They're going to reject anything you put out. Some people
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
You just do it. I think there's a limit on things. Like, we would never do cheesecake,
Yeah.
especially covers and that kind of stuff. Like, there's certain, like, and there's a whole theory there I have, like, especially in the Christian and Jewish worldview. Violence is public and sex is private.
Mhm.
Or the better way to put it is sex is sacred and violence is mundane. Back in the old world, a 5-year-old was helping his father kill goats.
Yeah.
But sex was not. The pagans did it in public temples. They participated in that. The Jewish and the Christian didn't. So I understand there are certain limits to Christian art, and I don't think those limits hinder it.
Yeah.
I think I would argue anyone on that. Like, I don't think you need to have some broad with her cleavage hanging out. Yeah, I think you can do beauty in a better way. I get it for a character, and you can do it, but there's also portrayal, and there's also like selling.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
but certain things like that.
Yeah. There's yeah, I get that. There's it's that disappointment that you get when you turn on any modern series, no matter how good the series may end up being. That first episode,
Yeah,
for no reason, has the gratuitous sex scene, and you're like,
and it's usually gay now.
yeah.
We started Downton Abbey, and I was like, why is there gay stuff in the first episode of Downton Abbey? This doesn't make any sense.
Did you finish Downton Abbey?
Not yet. We have a hard time having time to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have time to watch anything.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I cannot get into that one.
I can't either. It's for the wife.
Yeah. There's the other one that they did called The Gilded Age.
She watched all 3 seasons of that one.
That one I kind of enjoyed because that is a much more interesting time period to me. Like the Industrial Revolution, you know, some guy trying to make his money, you know, building a train line and stuff like that. I like that story idea. You know,
What's funny is we started watching it because you promoted it, or you complimented it on a thing I was on in the chat, and I said, "Hey, my wife's name." A guy on a podcast chat said The Gilded Age was good.
Nice,
so
nice.
Full circle.
Yeah, I'm glad. I've also this is
so you're to blame.
I was talking about what's the Stupid Vampire Diaries.
Yep.
And Stephen Barone said he might start watching it. It's like it's not. I'm not. I don't recommend it per se, but boy, I had fun watching the stupid thing.
There's, I don't know. I think there's again, going back to passion and beauty and vigor, like male vitality, like Christians can tap into that. There's something, especially if you believe your God is the infinite source of creativity. Just don't worry about money. Don't focus on anything and other than just doing cool stuff. It really is. It's like being a kid with a crayon.
Yeah.
I mean, be more skilled and focused, of course, but overthinking, again, get back to the 0-1 brain. Like,
yeah, I think part of my besides just pure laziness, but part of my problem with in my life with trying to come up with things, writing, or when I was young and I was trying to be in a band or whatever,
yep,
is that kind of fear of preachiness.
yeah,
and getting, where do I draw the line, and not wanting to not preach, but also wanting to, you if I'm locked in a basement yelling all my ideas and all my philosophies and theologies, no one's going to hear it.
yeah, right.
I want people to hear it. So I don't want to lock them out from it by them looking at it and going, "Oh, this is super preachy." So that's to have that, to try to, for me, to find that balance of being, telling the truth without heavy-handedness is something that I want to try to find that balance, and maybe I just don't. Maybe I just heavy-handed.
Again, in Acts, the first sermon given by anyone, which is Peter, is him telling a bunch of guys, "Hey, you killed God, and you should repent for it because that was not good." I know. I think it's an idea. I think that idea is that the word of God and truth in general is a sword. It's not a blunt instrument. It's either it's going to pierce hearts, which means it has to be sharpened. And the sharpening, I think, is the skill that comes with interrogating the idea and truth just filling in the cracks of story. I think it just comes from working. Yeah. I don't think you can think about it so much. I think you just do it. And when you read something that hits more blunt, well, it's got to be sharpened some.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a way to think and then execute. I think you just go do it and it sharpens. I think a lot of problem with Christian art is that it's made by corporations, and it's like every other kind of corporate slop. It's blunt. It's not sharp. It's not refined. It's not thought about. It's product put out. God's not dead as product. Passion of the Christ is art.
Yeah. Did you happen to see, what was that one called? Steve Dace wrote it. And it was about a guy who was demon possessed in prison.
Insidious, was that
Insidious. Yeah.
I didn't see it, no, but I know what you're talking about.
Actually, it wasn't bad.
Was it Insidious? I think so.
Yeah.
I heard he did a good job in it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
No, not Insidious. It's some other single Nefarious. That's it. Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't bad. I'd never actually thought about watching it till a friend of ours who very recently has started looking into Christianity and all that stuff. He's like, yeah, this is really creepy and really good. And my wife had, for whatever reason, she's not a horror fan. She's like, I want to watch a horror movie, and he happened to mention that, and that it's not like gory and bloody. so we watched it, and it was actually not a bad movie. A lot of um, my biggest problem with it is that Glenn Beck was in it at the end. Um, I
You're like,
don't.
why?
Yeah. It ended with like a Glenn Beck interview. It's just super super weird, um, but yeah, maybe check that out and see what your. I want to know what your thoughts are on that as far as.
You should start just cutting the Glenn Beck interview out of that movie and putting it in other movie endings. Just suddenly Glenn Beck.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping up the stream. What
Yeah,
time
man.
is it? 9:30. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we've
11:30
been at,
over here.
been at it for a little bit, but want to thank you for coming on and talk more deep stuff, and maybe I could pick your brain about how to write things as well, because I've got some ideas and I want to get them out there, but and I'm going. Yeah, I definitely need to get more of your stuff. I'm gonna read. I got to read
Cool,
some of the
man. Yeah.
free ones, but I want to get Koga. Koga looks
I
really good.
appreciate that. It's a harder one to get into because it's so divorced from our world. And it's the middle of like the Godfo world, and we just
Mhm.
drop you in it, but it unravels as it goes. We took a more manga approach with Kolga, where you just throw them into, and then hope people have the patience for it. Like I'm not, I'm trying to go too because I'm tired, but I think people forget that is that like something like Berserk doesn't even get to the golden age arc for like halfway through or whatever it's written, and like
Yeah.
people take for granted that if they'd followed stories from the beginning, they may not have gotten into them, but because they know they exist and people talk about them, then they get into them. That's a struggle, I think, for writing bigger concepts for indie guys.
Mhm.
But you either do it or you
Yeah.
don't. So yeah, like
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. Pick it up, and again the free, and with I'll tell people whoever backs Kolga 2 will also get the Codex early, which is about 100-page book written by Kolga. It's part one, telling as a child, she's telling about the blood usher Marcus, the man she trained under that helped start the initiative, and she's going to do that for each member of the initiative. And it's a lot of lore. It doesn't necessarily pertain to the comic. It's just really cool background stuff. Yep.
Nice. Is I posted. I got a link to the
Yep.
website pinned to the top of the chat. Is Kogo 2 active now?
Yeah,
Campaign, or is
it's
that kind of
over, but it's still like in fulfillment. People can get it.
okay?
I can send you the link in the
Right.
chat or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll probably put it in the description, I guess, huh? So that it'll be
Oh yeah,
there. Yeah.
late pledges is what they're calling it. That now people can still pick it up there. Here, God, I'm gonna boomer this. I work in IT and I'm still gonna boomer this. How do you? Uh,
um.
I'll send it to you in the private chat. I think that should work.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, it's and
Right.
then with every volume of Kolga that comes out after this one, there'll be another part of the Codex, at least for a while. We're working on the video game that I'm building that's about 90% done is by F.A.O. Kolga. It's a prequel to the comic. It's about her time in this place called the Acolytes Manor. It's kind of an interdimensional place, though it's not, that she escaped from. And that game is a top-down dungeon crawler that's half puzzle, half bullet hell. And you utilize as your weapon a little guy. It's a flaming eye in a lantern called Stew. And one button changes the environment because you're seeing it how he sees it, and the other button fires the fire from him. He's called Stu because he didn't know what a name was, and they explain him that it's what somebody calls you, and he wanted to be called Stupendous. So that's
Yeah. I got that link put up over there. I'll try to remember to put it in the description of the video too. So if people come around to watch it, they'll get it down there. But what after Call 2 is fulfilled and everything? What's your
Yep.
next thing? You got another campaign coming up?
Our next campaign will probably be Apollyon 3, which will probably be in December. That we're taking the next couple of months to work on some top secret stuff. Some things I can talk about is we're going to do the final edit of the prose novel, which will be called The
Mhm.
Shaper, the Shifter, the Shadow, and that takes place at the end of our universe, and that's about 300 pages, I think. So
Hmm.
that will come out hopefully this summer. We're working to release a comic, a non Godfo universe related comic called Man of Blood: The Rise and Reign of King David,
Oh, nice.
and it's going to be kind of like a fever dream Excalibur / Berserk style telling of David's life.
Hmm.
And the first book will be up from Saul's fall of not being chosen through David's slaying of Goliath. And there's just so much cool stuff, especially the visuals like Josh is doing, because there's so much people miss, such as like when David flees Saul, he goes and gets Goliath's sword from the temple that he left it.
Hmm.
And whenever he rises and becomes like starts becoming king and stuff, he's got the Ark of the Covenant with him in battle, and just the imagery there is untouched. Like a guy carrying like this massive, like I mean, it's the original Buster sword from like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy. He's got this gigantic, literal giant sword, and he's got this Ark of the Covenant glowing thing that can kill you on contact. It's just there's so much cool cinematic stuff that you can take liberties with, of course, to really
Hmm.
do that we're excited about. So that one should be coming out this year. I'm hoping we can do another short film or two. We got those on YouTube. I'm hoping we can do 2 or 3 more of those this year and finishing the game. My big goal for me while Josh is working on the other stuff is to finish the game. I hope to get it finished and released by next year.
Nice. And like the website's going to be the hub, right? Where
Yeah.
everyone can go. All right. So
Yep.
if you're watching now, watching in the future, um, again, linked up at the top of the chat. Head there, start checking it out. Get some couple comics, read some stuff into the universe.
Yeah.
And Dan,
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm greatly appreciate it.
we will talk to you on X, and everyone else. We'll see you next week. I think who am I talking to next week is I think Fabrizio is coming back.
Great name.
He's Horace H. Hoover's creator for BTILO. I think we are talking his 5 comics that influenced him, or whatever that he sent me. He sent me a list of 5 comics. I asked him, send me 5 comics. We're going to be talking about those. They include Alan. What's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Sin City, That Yellow Bastard.
Oh, good one.
Um,
That was supposed to be a Dirty Harry script?
Really?
Yep. Miller apparently wrote that after he saw the last Dirty Harry movie and he was disgusted by it. And he wrote his own ending. Like,
nice. That's cool. And then Generation Next during the Age of Apocalypse. Yeah, there's a couple more. I don't remember what they are, but yeah, we'll be go. I've got I think 80 some slides to go through with them to dig
good
into
Lord.
those. So if you're interested in Fabrizio's book, Horace H. Hoover, and want to know what influenced him, tune in next week. I think we're doing it early again next week as well, because he's also back east somewhere. So thanks for joining us, and we will see y'all later.
Have a good night.